Thanks for joining me in another moment to mow money with the Fix-It Queen, powered by BidMyVid. I am Amanda the Fix-It Queen. I am your presenter and teacher, as well as fellow tradesperson. I have been in service and trades my entire life, starting my first contracting business at the age of just before I turned 16. I have had the opportunity to work in just a number of different types of businesses, from carpentry to general contracting. I've had an electrical, plumbing, and water treatment company that we scaled to a team of 16. I've had an interesting background that has allowed me to take what I've learned over the past 24 years to be able to share it with you. And with that said, what we're going to go over today, first of all, it's May 1st. So I asked the question first, may we go deeper to start? And this is a second segment to our April 15th training, where we were understanding a deeper layer of the fact that I truly felt that you are worth more. So if you missed that training segment, be sure to touch base with me, and I'm happy to get you a replay of it. But today specifically, I wanted to go, of course, a little deeper. So we are hitting today on May 1st, a little bit deeper in terms of the value that I explained to people at the time in terms of calculating the rates that we charge. There was some questions in the contractor groups. I do stream to a number of contracting groups, as well as live stream to different pages and channels. And there was a question that came in with regards to what should we charge. And there was a comment about, well, the national average is this. And in the end, my comment back to that, I think it was I think it was the Contractors Helping Contractors group. It was charge what you need to charge, because you are worth more. And there's formulas similar to load calculations or understanding the draw of gas needing to power a certain size of equipment. Same thing with your business. So you're worth more. And if you understand deeply the exit strategy tied to that, which is what we're going to go over today, you'll be able to calculate that, and you won't bend and you won't move on any of your price points. You'll understand a bottom rate that it takes to wash the whole funnel. If you're not sure what the funnel is, we went over that on the March 15th segment, where I taught about the chart of accounts and properly setting up the allocations to make sure you are covering all your bases, including the unforeseen, or what I call ghost margins of shrinkage that could really affect your business. So today, I'm excited because we're going to go over, sorry, my slide deck is acting up a little funny, but today we're going to go over a few different things. And more specifically, I want you guys to go for the glory. And we're going to go over how different steps may affect the glory that you are deserving of. And typically my training classes are very, very structured. I like to give you guys hard, fast information that you could use immediately in your business. And from that point, the goal is to get you to implement that. In the Fix-It Queen Academy, as well as in the consulting services I provide through Bring More Value, the goal is to learn it and use it, because you'll sit there and you'll go through trainings and watch live streams for literally hours upon hours all month long. But failing to utilize what you know can hurt your business, because you've taken all that time to sit through a training or listen to a podcast. And the implementation is the true key to get that continuity and make that connection to change the performance within your business. So I want you to go for the glory. But first, I don't want you to let the exit be unplanned. And that's what we're going to go over today, as we understand. First, may we go deeper to start. It all starts at the beginning of your business, of why you wanted to even create an opportunity to offer your services to the community. And a lot of times I see contractors start up and they immediately, without thinking, enter exit strategy 7 and 8. And we'll go over all of those, but 7 and 8 are almost the automatic exits when you fail to take these steps to calculate the cost of operating your business, and not even operating your business, but what it looks like for you to build that reserve value for you to get to your own exit. What is an exit strategy? How do you use it in your business? These are all things that I'm going to touch on a high level. Today, we're going to be live training for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and then I will take questions and answers at the end. So as we're going through, please type those in the chat. please send them through so I can address and revisit. But this is meant to give you a bird's eye view of understanding what truly building a business is. And this in my training courses is what I consider a cornerstone component and a deep pillar that goes all the way to the bedrock to make sure as you are bidding against other companies, you're not in cost competition. There is enough for everybody. I want you to go for the glory, as I mentioned. And when you understand how to bring your service to the market and how to share it, there is no competition. There's just what you do, how you do it, and the way you present that to the market space. So there's a few things to keep in mind as we take a look at, sorry, I'm trying to get my navigation, the losses that happen when you fail to start with these cornerstone metrics that I'm going to go over. The loss of value is immense. It's almost uncalculatable because it will equate to a number of people using you over years in your business that end up being lost because you will transition in exit 7 or 8. We'll go over that here momentarily. And the biggest factor of this is loss of time. And if you follow me in any capacity, you will understand I deeply am a huge proponent of time being the most valuable resource because it is the one resource that is not renewable. But as we use it more effectively with efficiencies, we can get more time or more value out of that time. So I'm just touching base on that on a highest level, that as you're building your business and you're taking the steps to improve it, these losses are things that can be mitigated by planning in a way that helps you truly strategize. Number one, the value offered. If you're offering plumbing, there's a number of different plumbers. If you're offering carpentry, there's a number of different carpenters. I like to think about it as hamburger comparisons, right? There's Burger King, there's Smash Burger, there's Wendy's, there's all these different types, but what separates them is how they offer the burger that they flip. And similar to service sector, we all do things uniquely and we all have a different execution point and a quality that we have in our own process. Like when I go out and bid jobs, I look at things and my brain depicts a whole strategy of approach that's different from your brain and different from the next contractor's brain. And it's that solution when we write up those estimates and we give those detailed accounts of logic of how we're going to do that in phase planning that can be one separator. But there's many layers to the value offered. And so understanding your recipe is going to be key to getting to the next step of understanding client dependency. Client dependency is something that a lot of people don't think about. When they're offering their service, they often just go out there and start passing out flyers. I see posts all the time. I just started up, or I'm 1 or 2 years out. How do you guys get more businesses? Where are you guys getting more leads? And the biggest thing about client dependency is about retention. And if you don't know how to properly execute a retention strategy, you will be searching for opportunities that would be waiting for you if you had the right tools in place and used the right practices before you even started. And this is what I consider a go-to-market strategy. So in the coursework for the Fix It Queen Academy and Bring More Value consulting, these are things that we teach and we address in the ideation phase, in the concepts of executing your business. But right now, I just want to touch base on a highest level. All of this is tied to, again, the time committed to bringing all of these services to the marketplace and to the community. And as you do this over a compound of months to years, you can lose the connection that you've built over that time just by failing to have simple business practices and fundamentals in place that help your business stay afloat. Oftentimes, I find contractors that have been in business for 1 to 2 years already have enough business in their database to stay in business forever through having a proper retention program. And so there's certain things that can be automated to help you with that. And if any of this is confusing, just write it in chat or shoot me a direct message. I'm happy to help you guys identify how to simply activate an automation process within the delivery of service that you guys are bringing. With that said, there's one simple truth. It all starts with the end. And as we touch base on the April 15th training, where I went over the value and where you are worth more, the end, what I was talking to about the glory, the pot of gold, so to speak, at the end, is what it would take for you to retire. we aren't starting business because we want to work forever. And I have a number of contractors that I know from doing business over 24 years, as well as that are in my programs, that are looking at like how to get out of their service vehicle, how to exit out of the vehicle safely without like popping a hip. And I say that tongue in cheek because as we're in attics and crawl spaces, it doesn't get easier on the physicality of our body, but what can make it easier is knowing we are closer to the exit. And that's what this training segment is about today. It is specifically about the 8 types of exit strategies. And when you don't understand how to approach the first 6, you will be automatically put in the last 2 types. And that's actually how I started my electrical contracting business. The gentleman that we purchased the equipment from he took exit strategy number 7, and we'll go over that here momentarily. But the truth is it all starts with the end. There is a load calculation that you can do in terms of knowing how much money you need to retire to live that dream life. When I talk to my clients and I work with other contractors, I ask them, what does that picture look like? What does it look like for you to pay off your house, to send your kids to school, to buy that truck, all without having the imbalance of weight of cost, and you not sure if you're going to be able to complete it without having an imposition in your life or in your business that it'll affect you mentally. And that's one of the other things we start in the ideation phase, is the matter of mindset and tempering what it takes to actually go through your business and go through all the adjustments. Because one of my business mentors and coaches told me, Amanda, when is an airplane on its path? And I sat there and I thought about it. And the honest truth is the airplane is only ever on its path when he's on the tarmac. And when he's basically there, he's on the path. The moment you lift off into your business, you are course correcting until you get to your exit. And the exit can be a smooth landing. And that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys, is the indicators and what kind of prerequisites are set for strategy to exit based on the 1 to 6 exit strategies that'll get you to the glory of being able to have enough. So that's why I wanted on May 1st to go deeper, because where we start in business is often the end. When we plan and we understand that, let's say I want to retire and it's going to take me $5 million. Okay. If it's going to take $5 million because I want to live for 30 years without extra cost, have inflation calculated, I want to pay the house off, I want to have a vacation house, I want to take 2 vacations a year. All these have a price tag. And so as we understand that, we can actually backwards calculate with the formulas that I teach how that creates a margin within your business. So you know that if you take a job under this dollar amount, you literally are cutting your exit short, and it makes it harder for you to get there, and you won't have what's needed to execute the business with a calm and sound peace of mind. And those are huge things as we operate already under duress. People are calling on our services when they need help, when their business is not working because they don't have lights on, or they have a backup in their stalls in their restrooms, or even their home, right? So dealing with residential service. So we're already under a lot of duress, helping people as solutionists offer calm ways to bring them peace of mind. So knowing that when you take those jobs, I can't remember which one of my clients I was talking to. It's great when it's a hell yes, right? You only take the hell yeses because you have confidence that it'll take all of the pressure point to execute the job in all phases, plus having the taxes to match, having the reserves to match for profitability, and knowing that you are chipping away towards that exit as you took off from the business airport, let's just call it. So altogether, that's the end. That's all, folks. The end is the most important thing, because when you know where you're going, you can plan the trip to get there, and you can also plan some different things to help you adjust. So I like to say failing to plan is a default plan to struggle. It's a default plan to stay up at night, to wonder if that job you shouldn't have taken, you should have taken, or in the middle of executing a job, needing to take from this other job to get it done because you had some provisions in your contract that didn't allow you to mitigate against a client not paying, or a client folding their arms and being like, well, I'm not going to pay that percentage until like that, like one piece of blue tape is addressed that when we did the punch list. These are all things that can create such a high alarm and spark anxiety. And anxiety comes from a place of unknown. Okay. They are the same resonative frequency when you measure them out of your brain. Anxiety and excitement. Excitement comes when you think you know, keyword think, when you think you know what's going to happen. Anxiety comes when it's fog and you're like, oh shit, I'm not exactly sure what may or may not happen. One is a positive awareness perspective or perception, and the other one is a negative, but they are the same frequency emission. And one is just, they're just different planes of the telescope as you are looking forward. So having a key plan will prevent you from struggling and having sleepless nights and wondering and developing ulcers and having to eat Tums and all that stuff all day long. So these are things that I think about over the past 24 years, having ran my own service businesses, having subcontractors and other relationships. I see the struggle and I see the pain, and I call it white knuckle, where we like literally like, at two, like this job too. So it's important to have an exit. An exit is an intention. It's a plan that you have intentions with, and the intention is the key to planning the right exit. So there's 8 different types of exit strategies, and when you have an intention, you can actually use one of the exit strategies effectively without having to slide all the way down to exit number 7 or 8, which we will get to. So the exit strategies with intention all have paths and indicators, or I call them pulses. Like, okay, based on the fact that I want to take exit plan number 2, door number 2, I'm going to set up shop like this. And that means I'm going to basically operate in this way. There's some other standard practices that you can adopt into your, what I call your code book for your business, or your orientation manual. These are the things that hold so much value. Think of it like a car. When you buy it, when it has that warranty, every single thing that's ever been done to it, it adds so much value to the exchange when you go to sell that vehicle after you put the mileage on it. Your business is the same, where as you build these processes and you document certain things, you can take one of the 6 exit strategies that will actually bring more value in that exchange to get you to the end of your retirement financial goal. So what leads to the 8 exit methods? It's knowing kind of why you designed your business, and we'll get straight into what those exits are. The first one is mergers and acquisitions, and I deal with this all the time with my clients. I have a client right now. He was doing his best to acquire another company, but when we looked at that company and I brought these items to him, it was very clear that this other company had no true tangible value to exchange any sort of money for. And so when we do mergers and acquisitions, oftentimes the opportunity becomes because the vision and the missions have a correlation to them. There's some continuity between the dynamic of the 2 organizations. But the key thing to being able to have a merger or acquisition is making sure that company that's being acquired, or that those companies that are merging together, have followed certain practices to fill that warranty folder that allows you to actually have something to purchase. Because let's just face it, a business is by law a legal entity, but it is a figment. It is just something that is a piece of paper that's filed. And what really makes a company able to have more value is the people within it. And that leads me to the second exit type, which is selling to a partner. Oftentimes people will have business partners. It'll be 2 people or 3 people starting a business. Those key people are components of the business that bring more value to the organization, that allow it to have some kind of a value above and beyond, let's just say, the tools within it. So oftentimes I see partnerships start with great intentions, but when they don't understand how to put those cornerstones in and drill those pillars to the bedrock before laying the foundation, you get separation in the partnerships, where one partner thought it was going this way and the other thought it was going that way. And it ends up becoming an exit to sell to another partner, where the one or two just want out. they don't want to be in business with the person anymore. And I've seen it ruin friendships. I've seen it ruin family relationships when, brothers or siblings or cousins, they start up and then they all have different concepts. So starting with a good strategy of the purpose of your business is a huge key. And as I work with businesses, we hit that in what I call the ideation phase, as we outlay the mindset and making sure they all match, outline the different leadership traits and styles. I call them SWOT, strength and weakness analysis. Variables within the company. And then we get the go-to-market strategy, and that comprises the ideation phase. So you can launch without immediate turbulence and like, oh my God, we got to put our oxygen masks on and we haven't even caught altitude with this business. That's when I see people break apart in partnerships. That's when I see people want to exit and one person will buy out the other. So that is an exit strategy number 2. And that leads me straight into the next step, because if it's oftentimes a business that started on the pretense of doing succession planning, or the dad or the parents started the company because they want their kids to take it over, or any dynamic like that, that's called succession planning. Then there's key vehicles, financial vehicles to put in place that'll help fortify the value that you'll have. So that way, when you do the succession execution and that takeover happens, it will be a smooth transition. But often founders are building for the transition to family. And there's an asterisk there because it has some correlation to another exit number that we're going to hit. So again, starting, the end starts at the beginning. How do you plan on getting out of your business? If you don't think about these things, you are going to be automatically segmented into exit strategy 7 and 8, and we will get there. Those are like 99% of businesses take exit strategy 7 and 8. So stay tuned for those, because those are huge, and it breaks my heart. Like seriously, like my soul is sad about it, because I see so many contractors take options 7 and 8. So if you are building your business to do succession planning to your family, the first thing you got to take a pulse of is, does your family want that? I see oftentimes parents and families build businesses and they get to that imaginative state and they're like, oh, I'm going to give it to my kids, and the kids want nothing to do with it. And so they're left with a business that they aren't able to do the transition. And the reason why the asterisk is there is because as long as you do certain things to keep up on the framework of adding value to the enterprise, right? You can still take certain exits. There's still possibilities. You could still take exit number 1, which is the merger and acquisition, and you can. It's a tie-in to one of the exit strategies. I think it's number 4 on here. But these are just things to think about. How are you getting out of this business? If this is something you have questions, please message me. I'm happy to help you where I can. I do as much as I can outside of my programs just to give people high level clarity. It's like from the glass box on the top, and I'll do the best I can to help you guys. It's all I dedicate my time to at this point, since I transitioned full time out of service and trades last year and moved straight into technology and education to help us. So exit strategy number 4. This is an interesting one, because what this usually means is that you've done a great job. You've built a rock star team, and you have a great group of people, and the dynamic in it is like the Globetrotters or the Lakers, where they pass and they catch and they do all this stuff, and they know kind of where their hands are going to be. And so the dynamic of the team has a great amount of value. This means that you get money when you exit. And as long as you prepare that rockstar team for the fact that it is strategically planned for an acqui-hire strategy, they can be prepared to stay tight as they go through the transition, knowing that the goal is to be acquired by a bigger team and become a department or division of them. A good example would be a very strong, let's say, electrical business that acquires a nice complementary plumbing team. And the reason why I bring that up is because that's what I did. I had started a electric company. We built that team. It was good. It was strong. And then in order to continue growth metrics based on my strategies, my goal was to be a multi-service trade, and we had a whole different give back or community program that was a unique separator from any other multi-service trade. As we were 303 Carefree Service Solutions, we offered electrical, plumbing, water treatment. So I complimentary acquire a smaller team to become part of our bigger electrical component and become a division of, or a sector of. So an acqui-hire is a great way for you to prepare the team to become part of something even bigger. If that is what you're doing, you will attract those types of teammates that want to be the glue at that base and then become part of a bigger assembly. And so that's a fun way to kind of grow, as well as get to an exit strategy to fund your retirement plan. And outside of that, your next option would be to do an MBO. And an MBO is when like that rock star team's like, no, please don't sell us to another company. We love our team. We would like to stay a team, and we want to do MBO. And then you start negotiations in certain instruments to allow a transition for the owner to back out and to put in place owners that were formerly managers or employees. So a manager or employee buyout is kind of like the other side of a acqui-hire exit strategy. So when you build that team, my key thing is, and this is why business mentors, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I say the key thing is to be transparent with your employees, with your key teammates, with your client base. Be transparent, because that's when true alignment can happen, and people are prepared and they don't feel like this bait and switch happened where they're like, one day the owner sold. I was talking to a print shop, and they're buying another print shop, and it blew my mind that the employees that were in that shop that's to be acquired have no clue that just one day the old owner is going to be gone and the new owner is going to come in. That is going to feel like falling into a frigid, frozen ice lake to the team, because they won't understand what just happened in the business transition to get that owner to his exit. So I'm a big proponent over being transparent with your team, letting them know exactly why you're building the business, how that exit strategy affects them. And my biggest thing when I teach in the Fix It Queen Academy through our do-it-yourself programs, or if you're in one of our coaching programs, is the implementation side. That very last course is what I call the compensation module. And in that is a way to retain the team no matter what exit strategy you take, no matter what avenue of the 1 to 6. And I say 6 because if you take exit 7 or 8, they're gone. Bye-bye. And so as long as you're transparent and you use a right adhesive within the compensation program, you can truly retain that team through any one of the 6 exit verticals. And that's a huge thing. If you aren't sure if you're executing a good compensation plan in order to do retention of that team and really pull like dust falls to the earth, like an adhesion, let me know, because I'm happy to give you some high level insight on how to properly reduce the highest shrinkage margin of any business, which is turnover. If you're experiencing turnover, if you are experiencing anything that creates some disruption or turbulence within your business, there are very simple, universal business practices and fundamentals that you can implement immediately once you understand the concepts. And that's what I love so greatly. I don't like to teach the entire code book. Yes, there's a lot to know about business. I like to give you as much as I can the cut and dry information that you could use immediately in the field of your business right now. So the MBO is a great way to keep the team together where they don't want to be part of an acqui-hire exit strategy, and they don't want to be a part of that bigger company. And that last option, and like I said, 1 to 6 has value. 1 to 6 has value. This is what I call common denominator, right? If we have 100 on the bottom, that means that it's like 110 on the top, 120 on the top, 150 on the top to that 100 on the bottom. When you start to get exit strategy 7 and 8, it goes the reverse. It goes reverse. So the last one, which is one of the most daunting types of exits, is an IPO. An IPO is when you go public and you allow the shareholders to embrace the opportunity, and the community can own a part of that business. But I tell you, regulations are high, compliance is high, because this business is now serving, yes, the shareholders that own it, but it's at a higher level of offering to the community. And so if you don't already know, companies such as like Home Advisor, who make a big impression on our profit margins by extracting money automatically without us looking. We'll be like over there turning our tools and we're like, ding, ding, I just lost like $1,200 today. That is not okay. And so the FTC has filed charges on Home Advisor. And mind you, as you go IPO and you are offering in that level of service, you're in their wheelhouse too. So IPO and public exits can be done. There's stuff that I have experience with. I have a number of different resources if that is the way you want to go. There's certain not restrictions. There's certain choices that you get to make as a business owner to tighten up those metrics and fall within those parameters to make sure that you don't get an FTC charge and be like top to bottom gutted. And that's not just FTC. It goes higher in regulation in terms of taxation. The more you do in revenue, the more of your head pops out for possibly the chopping block of audits, right? And those are something I have a great number of experiences, not only just helping my clients, but also myself having scaled. As I got audited, they said, well, you just started doing so well, like we had to make sure you weren't a pass-through and selling a bunch of drugs. And I started laughing because it's possible to grow your company and get to that hockey stick bend and do a stable growth strategy. But it's also possible to never get to the bend. And that's where we're going to go to next and exit number 7. And then it's also possible to go and actually have too much of a bend and like ramp it up too much, and you break that pressure point, and you'll get sparked top to bottom with audits and a number of different things to make sure you're operating within best business practice, because no matter how you slice it, Uncle Sam wants his cut. And there's certain things that you have to keep in mind. So IPO is fun. It's really exciting to go and like ring the bell and yay, I got my little ticker, and people can invest and buy stock. But it also comes with a great amount of pressure for compliance and regulations. So those are the 6 types of exits that I wanted to touch base that truly bring more value to your retirement exit. When you think about the price tags of all the things you want and why you're doing this, not just only at the end, but along the way too. So we take a look at that in the implementation side, and we calculate short-term and long-term reserve values to make sure you are getting what you need out of your business as you go. Because time is your friend when you have a plan, but it can be your enemy, and it can choke you out as you get towards the end and you realize, oh my God, I took exit strategy number 7, liquidation. I call it XLAX. So if you are taking exit strategy number 7, door number 7, that means you are liquidating. You are selling it off. You don't have a business. You have a balance sheet with some assets on it. You might have a van, some tools, maybe some inventory. You might have a phone number, but here's the thing. When you take a look at the first type of exit that we talked about, mergers and acquisitions, you can't actually sell your phone number because they'll feel like completely like 180. They'll be like, well, I thought I was calling Mark, and all of a sudden like Chris started answering, and I don't know Chris. And you lose, right? You lose that client dependency. We talked about that in the earlier slides. That client dependency, when you break that, people have such an emotion tied to the people that they're bringing into their homes and into their businesses. They're like opening up and they're sharing a piece of themselves, and you start to build this relationship. So if you are taking door number 7 and you're like, oh, I've been doing this for 15 years, I'm done, I just want to be out, that's honestly how I started my electric business. Is there was a contractor and he was like, wanted to take his, well, at the time it was a flip phone. He wanted to take his phone and just like chuck it at the dirt. And he was sick of it. And he didn't want to show that. He was like, I'd like $3,000, please, for my van. And I'm not budging on it. And I'm like, that's market value. Cool. Here's your money. But on top of that, it was a little bit more to buy all his tools and all his inventory. And he took door number 7 without even knowing, because for the past 20 years, he didn't understand he should have been positioning himself, right? Kind of like a football playbook. You need your players in place and you need to run and then turn right and then flip around. And then you got, your 10 o'clock or your 3 o'clock. You need to know what you're doing. Otherwise you will take automatically exit number 7. And God forbid you take exit number 8. We'll touch base on that in a second. So building no value other than the hard assets in your business is what I see a good 90 or so % of small businesses do. They are acquiring trucks. They're getting more equipment. They're investing in certain components to make the execution of their service easier, right? But in the end, they didn't take time to do process documentation. And that's something we touch base on when we hit the implementation modules in the academy or in Bring More Value. Guys, I'm not saying you have to like have some phenomenal book, but I just want you to start. Just get a piece of paper out, get your pen, and start writing what you do and how you do it. And that becomes the start of your operations manual. And it might be 1 page to start out, but that's okay. From there, you can refine. I love, that's one thing I'm really good at is I ready, fire, aim. And I'm like firing before it's even out of my holster. So I'm ready. My recoil's good. And by the time I'm hitting target. And it all starts with just putting concepts on paper and saying, number 1, the first thing I do is a call. Okay, here's an example. A call comes in. I write it in my book. A lot of contractors are still very manual. So they have like a notepad or a notebook or a calendar, and you write it in your book. All right. So that's step number 1. It's really not that complicated to write down. Just think about, what do you do every day? If this, then that. If that, then this. If a customer calls me, I do this. If a customer moves forward, I do that. And that becomes the very start, even if it's 1 or 2 pages of your operations procedure. And what that does is it helps you minimize your cost in civil hearings if you have to go to do a mechanics lien, because you can show them that every single customer that you deal with goes through this logic that you have created a process for. And from there, you refine. And you refine every time you have an experience. You can adjust a provision in your contract, right? So they call in, and then I go to the site, and then I write up a bid, and then I collect the money. You're going to start seeing where you have big, giant gaps in your process and procedure. And you're going to go back to this paper and you're going to add another one, and you're going to write a provision in there that says, note to self, collect deposit. Don't move my truck unless deposit has cleared. Don't do things on a handshake. That's a policy. Boom, boom. It's not as complicated as you think. The key is to start at least documenting it and then refine it as you go. And you'll find over weeks and years and of doing your business that you will end up with an operations manual. So when somebody comes to do one of those 6 exit strategy types, you have something tangible that you can give them that says, hey, if you're going to be, dealing with an exit strategy of merge and acquisition, this is how your business is operated. This is how you function. You can have sub classifications within that deal with your employees if you have them, or if you never have employees, how you deal with your subs. That's this chapter right here. So these are all things that help you build the value so you don't slide automatically into exit number 7, which is at the end, just wanting to chuck everything and be done. And you've made enough money and you're like, cool, I'm good. But do you really have enough to never have to touch it again? Or to move on to something completely new that is creating interest for you. Those are the things that I love to go over in our strategy sessions when I work with clients, We train once a month, and we go over these core fundamentals, and then we do an implementation strategy session where we put executable milestones on a board with a date of when it needs to be done and who's going to do it. And we start moving that progress bar, because if not, time will pass and you will take number 7. You will take door number 7. And if you aren't even aware of how to properly leverage your cash flow and get your assets onto your balance sheet in a positive accord, right? Assets are money and liabilities on your balance sheet, right? So you have hard assets, you have equipment, and then you have all the things that you leveraged, lines of credit or auto loans or equipment loans or whatever those might be on liability. And if you didn't properly think about the equalization of those, there's specific formulas that you can over leverage, and you will automatically take exit number 8. Exit number 8 is bankruptcy. Don't pass go. Don't even collect $200. In fact, you might be dealing with fines and penalties and interest and debt that is like drowning you to your eyeballs. And these are the things that keep us up at night. Should I have bought van number 7? That's an actual statement in my head. I scaled to 16 technicians and teammates, and we had 11 service fleet running amok, right? And we are 303 Carefree Service Solutions. Call 303 Carefree and you'll have a worry-free experience. I had a whole process. I had value separate. I did all the things, but one thing I didn't see coming was my double rollover accident. And I'm blessed for that, because it allowed me to be sitting here with you today to share with you not only insight that I've had for the past 24 years, but the knowledge that was infused into me from my business mentors and coaches that basically helped me understand that there is still huge value in what I built. So if you don't take exit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 that we just went over, you're going to take exit number 7. And if you over leverage, and there's a certain percentage, I'll say 38%, but there's a certain percentage in application to what I just mentioned that will create what I call negative cash flow, and you will circle the drain. And there will be times where you guys up a little bit and you're like, I'm doing okay. And then you'll start circling the drain. And so over that 24 years of experience, and with my own teachers and mentors, I have developed what I call a reverse flush procedure. And it creates a reverse flush, and then it creates a geyser where it goes the opposite way indefinitely when you implement the core fundamentals that I teach, which go over mindset, leadership, and marketing. Those are the ideation phases that truly give you a sound blueprint. And then from there, we fill in all of the rest of the story with the implementation side of your organization, the management, and the compensation. Those components, just those 6 core fundamental areas that I go over with my clients and contractors that I work with, will create a immediate guise as long as you're consistent. Consistency is key to all of the things. And so as I go over those are on the highest level, as deep as I could go. May I first start at the beginning, because that's where we are, to get to the end. And it all isn't, perfect timing. So it gives you time to think about this stuff and actually plan it, similar to you executing a job. You have to have planning phases and truly think, so you can have your will call list of materials. Same thing goes for your business. You have to have time to think. And so time to think comes in many different ways. Number 1, it comes in you investing in yourself, taking simple approaches, which is what you're doing here right now, taking a moment here with the Fix It Queen Academy, learning some of these high-level processes, creating simple approaches. Outside of that, when you plan for steps 1 to 6 in an exit strategy, it will save you time and it will prevent exit 7 and 8. I'm not saying it's going to forever prevent that. There are missteps and potholes that you could bend your A-arm in and you have to have a spin out. Those are not losses. They're lessons that allow you to build a stronger frame the next time around. If you've crashed and burned, don't be afraid to start up again. You know more now. You don't have to always be an employee. You don't always have to be stuck in that, oh my God, I did something. You didn't do anything but take an opportunity to learn another way to navigate around and circumvent that. So shooting for a target will save you time, and it will help prevent exits 7 and 8. The base of the plan starts with what you want at the end, and being able to take effect and move towards those exits 1 to 6 that we went over. So those are huge things to start out in the very beginning before you take an action to start up. But if you're already starting up and you're already in business, that's okay. I call it recalibrating into the marketplace. And you can do that by having a systematic approach. Systems are keys. There's different types of systems, but we went over. If you don't want to implement a bunch of software, that's okay. You can start out literally with a piece of paper, and that will at least get your juices flowing to put together a true process and approach. Write it out. Writing it out is the start of your code book to the exit methods of 1 to 6. And when you do that, it's quite simple. You just start with what you do and how you do it. What do you do when you get an estimate? What do you do when you win it? What do you do when you're done? What do you do? So these are little, I started out with checklists, to be quite honest. When I first started out, I didn't have huge manuals. Now I have a database of different manuals and employee handbooks and operation manuals that I help and I repurpose for all my clients. But when I first started out, I was like, okay, before we start the job, here's my pre-flight checklist. Check. Do this, do that, do other. I did that with my fleet too, because as an automotive mechanic, that's what I also am in training. I'm Ford factory certified mechanic. I maintenance the fleet. Everything had a checklist. Every time we had a meeting, I would go out to the service vehicles and I would make sure I checked the fluid. I'd take some of the fluid and I'd put it on the paper. If it was a certain color, that told me it needed to go to maintenance. So process documentation is key, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simple checklists. It can be simple lists or bullet points, but that is going to be a huge separator that starts to build the value, giving you your basic tools to start a business that can take one of the 6 exit strategies. So measuring, one of the bigger tools that I see a lot of people skip is their financial performance. Understanding how to properly read their profit and loss and their cash flow statements and understand how that correlates to their balance sheet, how to run in reverse what they call gap analysis, where not only are you looking at what your business has done in revenue today based on the job and how much you spent on cost of goods and all that stuff, but being able to take that and extrapolate that into a forward forecast, and as well as take a look at past performance. So you should have an idea, like when you do a takeoff, you know you're probably shooting for $10,000 to hit that job. So that is what I call forecasting. Then you actually do the job, and while you're in real time, that's called real-time cash flow management. That's a performance metric. And then there's basically the adjusted state where you're looking forward, trying to close the gap to make sure everything comes in. You don't have to look at that per job, but you can also apply that to the overall organization, looking at the overhead annually. I'm a big proponent of sprint planning, where we do 12-week segments to make sure we're adjusting all throughout the quarters. But basic tools to start are key. This is going to be very helpful for you, so you could add on the next set of powered tools that really give more value to your business. And those types of power tools help you in reducing costs and increasing efficiencies. So once you have your basic tools set up, you are able to then adopt easy, ready out of the box software such as BidMyVid, which I had built for us guys because I got tired of driving to go look at stuff. So it's a private video portal, keeps us from driving and spending $5 a gallon to go 4 miles. So you can start reducing your costs, increasing your efficiencies, and adopting ways to work smart, and use certain softwares and processes that will automatically save you. And automation will help increase the profit line and add to the retention and the growth of the organization. And for the most part, that's what I wanted to go over to you in this training today. So I thought it's a perfect time to ask you guys, come on, do you want to join Contractors Nationwide? You already are, as you participate in Moments to Mo Money that we teach every 1st and 15th of the month at 6 p.m. MST. My goal is to bring you high-level insight to help your business perform better as early as tomorrow, depending on your willingness to execute that. And as well as my goal is also to save you tons of time, because if you haven't noticed, as mentioned before, gas prices are ridiculous, and it's getting to be peak season for a lot of different contracting verticals. So if there's any way I can help you avoid even one drive to a job that's not meant for you, or come more prepared to a job that is meant for you, let me know, because our team and I've invested, I'm not even going to put just a crap ton of resources into making us have an available private video portal that simplifies. It's ready out of the box. You don't have to do anything but create your profile, and then you could be powered like other contractors nationwide. They don't have to deal with a text message, a contact form. They don't have to deal with an imposition of somebody calling them. I like to say, show me. Don't tell me, text me, or interrupt me while I'm sitting there trying to put something in, or I'm in a crawl space and I get dinged with some kind of a notification. So BidMyVid is there to help you. The Fix It Queen Academy is here to help you. Please let me know. And I'm going to address questions with these last 9 minutes within our training. Let's see what we have on the board. What's up, Bill? Thank you for joining. That's right. No guts, no glory. Go for the glory, Huck. Go for the glory. Yes. No worries, guys. It looks like, Bill, you said you missed me over at CES. We do the live demos in brick and mortar supply chains. And as we start branching out, I'll post up and let you guys know when we're making hover rounds. We're going to be in Loveland on June 1st at the CES location here in Loveland, Colorado. But eventually, as I beef up my own team to help serve you guys and take care of anything that we can offer you, I like to say we want to be the pontoon under your service party boat. I'll let you guys know where we're doing live demos in your areas. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Today was a little windy, so got crazy hair going on. Yes, Tony's awesome. I'll let him know that you said that, Bill. Let's see here. All right. So Bill, you said you have a policy, nothing MMJ related always turns into drug. True. That's an interesting thing. So one thing I had adopted in was a drug policy, a drug-free work zone. And that was huge because it actually lowered my insurance costs by having that provision in there. So MMJ is something that is, we all have to deal with in some capacity, with people that may or may not be using different types of substances. Even alcohol is a challenge. Straight up, I'm going to share with you this story. Oh God. Okay. So I had in my service vans, I had GPS tracking and I had geofence. So if they go outside of their authorized zones, I had a kill switch. So I had one electrician took his service van, tried to go joyride outside of Colorado. And it died right at the Colorado border. And he had to hey, something wrong with the service van. I'm like, nope, it's not. He wasn't doing anything other than using the company's fuel to go and go on a trip. And he thought we just wouldn't know. But I also had an electrician that came to work, and he passed all the tests and he did all that stuff. He came into the dispatch center. He looked at our dispatcher. He didn't talk. He just grabbed his paperwork and then left really, really quick. Very odd behavior. And he went to a panel change, and he went to go and take care of it. Well, long story short, he caught the house on fire. And so that was something that came out of the company margins. I had to mitigate the loss of the client's trust, right? So there are many things, luckily I had the margins to bring them peace of mind, to show the client, hey, we have a process when we bring on employees. This will not happen again. And again, your feedback will help us refine. Now we're basically going to do X, Y, and Z to ensure that your experience will help other customers. But what ended up happening is that guy freaked out and he drove the van home, and he hid in his closet. And so I geo-tracked the van, and I was calling his company phone. He wouldn't answer. He freaked out. Well, long story short, he still had a buzz from the night before, and he came to work not drunk, but a little bit still not coherent. And he was drinking the night before, not the morning of, but it was enough for him to not make a good connection, let's just say, when he was doing his panel change. So that created a huge amount of loss. And in my employee handbook, right, we were talking about the processes. In my employee handbook, I had provisions in there that held accountability. And when you come on, you agree, and we go over these things, that if you were to cause a loss, it takes away any bonus programs, and it could take away your entire paycheck and allow me to pay you minimum wage. And he got upset because the loss that he caused the company was more than his bonus and even more than his payroll coming. And so I basically issued him a payroll for his hours for that payroll period, gave him an exit notice, and I paid him minimum wage. He did try, because we were at scale, he did try to use the Board of Equal Opportunity, where they have unlimited legal help to address it. And they looked at him and they were like, I'm sorry, like this is your check. So long story short, I won that. But I had to have enough margins in planning to make sure that that I was able to manage the client relationship. That client turned from a 1-star into a 6-star. That's one of the things I like to share with people. Your 1-star reviews are actually 6 stars when you can maintain your emotional composure and think through, knowing that you have a process in place to keep that retention, and have the margins to minimize that loss through costs unforeseen. And those are all things that can be done in the planning segment before you start your business to make sure you have those reserves there. So thank you guys very much for joining me in another Moment to Mo Money with the Fix It Queen Academy. I am excited as BidMyVid continues to power these moments of education for you guys, as well as power contractors nationwide, helping them skip the drive, win the bid, and save the time. Because like I said, you save 1 drive a year, and theoretically it takes care of that very low entry cost software. It's $500 a year for you to have a private video portal. And there's contractors that are using it nationwide, able to have it on their service vans. We send you a starter kit. It's a really great tool. And with the Fix It Queen Academy, thank you for allowing me to bring more value. I like to say, I will bring you more value as we do this together than you ever could alone. Because honestly, if we can learn from each other's experiences and share those, we can avoid certain road pops and I guess potholes on the journey of entrepreneurship. So thank you. I appreciate that. And Joseph, I see here that you had put down that you're interested in learning more about processes like the manuals. Absolutely. I'll share with you some stuff. I'll shoot me a message in Messenger or whatnot. And thank you guys for joining me in another Moment to Mo Money with the Fix It Queen Academy. I'll see you guys at the next training, which will be on the 15th of the month, right here, going in a live stream at 6 p.m. MST. I will post up at bidmyvid.com/mo-money once I get that training segment all put together and that slide deck put together for you guys. It has been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me into your moment, and I look forward to sharing another one with you very soon. Bye.